Just want you to sit back, close your eyes, think of McDonald's, and it'll all be over.
There it is. Oh, that's about it. I mean, that's about it. Butterbean has...
Mustn't always flies, you know what I'm saying?
Well, he never should have slugged with him. He knows that now.
The moment the bell rings, the illusion shatters. Years of carefully curated gym photos, bulging biceps, carved abs, and intimidating walkouts suddenly mean very little once fists start flying. Somewhere between the first heavy punch and the first look of panic in a muscle-bound fighter's eyes, the truth reveals itself. Power doesn't always come wrapped in veins and symmetry. Sometimes it comes soft around the edges, breathing heavy, smiling through punches, and refusing to go down. This is the world where fat guys destroy jacked monsters, and it exists to humiliate stereotypes in the most violent, unforgettable way possible. These fighters don't care about how a warrior is supposed to look. They don't diet for aesthetics or chase magazine covers. They show up with bodies shaped by excess, chaos, and a lifetime of bad habits, then proceed to absorb punishment like it's nothing more than background noise. While sculpted opponents swing with rage and desperation, these so-called underdogs chew through punches like snacks and respond with brutality that no amount of protein powder can prepare you for. What follows isn't just combat. It's a demolition of ego. One of the earliest and most unforgettable examples is Huggy Bear Barnett, an eccentric force of nature who turned the ring into his personal playground. Barnett wasn't just known for winning fights. He was known for celebrating them, dancing wildly, mocking expectations, and earning performance bonuses simply for being himself. When a heavily tattooed, pumped-up challenger named Jay White stepped forward, the contrast was almost comedic. White looked like he was carved from stone, every muscle screaming discipline and danger. Barnett looked like a guy who wandered in by mistake. White made the fatal error of believing his physique guaranteed dominance. He charged forward with reckless aggression, swinging wide punches fueled by confidence and a little too much belief in his own hype. Barnett didn't panic. He didn't rush. He wrapped White in a crushing embrace, dragged him into close quarters, and turned the fight into a nightmare. Inside that clinch, muscles became useless. Technique, timing, and cruelty took over. White was taught a lesson he would never forget, collapsing into unconsciousness after underestimating a man who refused to fit the mold. That same story repeats itself again and again across combat sports. Bekkan Bakarov was once a food delivery driver, a regular guy whose life changed when he stepped into the cage against a towering, muscle-bound Chechen warrior known as Alisgard. From the outside, the outcome looked predetermined. Alisgard was forged among dangerous men, built like a fortress, and dripping with confidence. Bakarov looked like he should still be carrying groceries. The giant treated the fight like a formality, assuming it would end quickly and violently in his favor. Instead, karma arrived wearing gloves. Bakarov walked through shots that should have ended him, returned fire with shocking ferocity, and repeatedly slammed the jock to the canvas. Each fall stripped away more of Alisgard's confidence until humiliation replaced arrogance. By the end, the so-called delivery man had transformed into something far more terrifying, a reminder that underestimating a hungry man can cost you everything. No name embodies this phenomenon more than Eric Butterbean Esch. Butterbean wasn't just a fighter. He was a cultural event, a walking contradiction who split his time between boxing rings and buffet tables. He became the face of chubby dominance in combat sports. While critics dismissed him as a sideshow, Butterbean quietly dismantled professional fighters with shocking efficiency. His punches weren't fast, but they were final. His presence wasn't intimidating, but it was inescapable. As years passed and age caught up with him, many assumed Butterbean's days were over. When he transitioned into MMA, skeptics lined up to watch him fail. In 2007, he was fed to James the Colossus Thompson, a terrifying specimen with a physique designed to crush opponents. Thompson looked like the future. Butterbean looked like the past. What nobody accounted for was hunger. Somewhere between the opening bell and the first exchange, Butterbean flipped a switch. He charged forward, launched a savage assault, and detonated a punch that collapsed Thompson's world. The Colossus fell, stunned and broken, while Butterbean stood victorious, proving that cholesterol armor can sometimes be stronger than sculpted muscle. Then there is Mark Hunt, the Samoan miracle, a man who redefined what a knockout artist could look like. Hunt devoured punches with a grin and returned them with soul-stealing force. When he faced French kickboxing legend Jerome Le Banner, fans expected a burial. Le Banner was taller, longer, faster, and infinitely more polished. Hunt was new to the ring, transitioning from bar brawls with nothing but instinct and courage. From the opening exchanges, Le Banner controlled the distance, peppering Hunt with strikes and preparing his victory speech. But Hunt refused to surrender. He abandoned strategy and charged forward, absorbing punishment until he was close enough to unleash chaos. The moment Le Banner turned to flee, it was already too late. Hunt caught him with a punch that echoed through the arena and dropped the Titan cold. In one moment, the myth of the perfect fighter shattered under the weight of raw determination. Butterbean's legacy is littered with similar stories. When he faced Jakey Beard, a chemically enhanced giant expected to devour him, the fight began exactly as predicted. Beard pummeled Butterbean, taunted him, and believed victory was inevitable. That confidence became his undoing. Butterbean absorbed the punishment, waited patiently, and then delivered a perfectly timed right hand that erased Beard's consciousness. One punch turned arrogance into silence. Against Pat Jackson, another towering threat, Butterbean endured early pressure that had fans holding their breath. Jackson landed shots that would have ended most careers, but they barely slowed Butterbean down. In a bizarre twist, Butterbean swung so wildly that he accidentally knocked out the referee, forcing a stoppage. Jackson, realizing his fate was sealed, retreated in fear. Even chaos bent in Butterbean's favor. Fight after fight followed the same pattern. Bodybuilders, strongmen, trash talkers, all convinced that size and muscle would save them. Patrick Graham learned the hard way, flattened by a signature punch that sent him flying. Jonathan Whitfield tried to keep Butterbean at bay with reach and volume, only to be crushed once Butterbean closed the distance. George Lindberger was devoured like a fast food meal on the way to victory. Yet the phenomenon extends beyond Butterbean. In Russia, a wild force emerged in the form of Viacheslav Datsik, better known as the Ginger Tarzan. Datsik was chaos incarnate, a man with no technique, no discipline, and an almost mythical level of raw power. His life outside the ring was just as violent, filled with arrests, escapes, and years spent in prison. But once he stepped into the ring, all that madness condensed into destruction. His debut against a young Andrei Arlovsky showed flashes of his potential, even in defeat. But when Datsik landed clean, legends fell. After years behind bars, he returned older, heavier, and somehow more dangerous. Fighters who laughed at his appearance quickly learned that madness is a weapon. One punch from Datsik could rewrite careers. When he knocked out Alexander Emelianenko in just seconds, the shockwaves were immediate. A respected legend was sent into early retirement by a man many considered unstable. Datsik's rise continued as he crushed opponents with terrifying aggression, roaring like a beast, fighting as if every bout was personal. His clash with Geronimo dos Santos became a battle of intimidation, two hulking figures trying to dominate mentally before the fight even began. Once the bell rang, Datsik proved his madness existed on a different level. Dos Santos was broken physically and psychologically, eventually refusing to continue. His pride left in ruins. Even seasoned veterans weren't safe. Antonio Silva, known as Bigfoot, entered the ring with accolades and experience, only to be mocked and dismantled. Datsik toyed with him, battered him, and finished with a roar that echoed his dominance. By the time he captured a heavyweight title against Jeff Monson, a respected UFC veteran turned politician, the transformation was complete. The Ginger Tarzan had gone from outcast to champion. Across all these stories, a pattern emerges that refuses to be ignored. Muscle doesn't guarantee victory. Discipline doesn't always outweigh hunger. The body you expect to lose is often the one that endures. These fighters thrive in chaos because they've lived it. Pain doesn't shock them. Fatigue doesn't scare them. They know suffering intimately, and that familiarity becomes their greatest weapon. The jacked monsters enter the ring believing they've already won. The fat guys enter knowing they have nothing to lose. That difference changes everything. When confidence turns to panic and muscles fill with lactic acid, it's the unassuming fighter who keeps moving forward, swinging with reckless intent and unwavering belief. This isn't a celebration of poor health or bad habits. It's a reminder that fighting is more than aesthetics. It's about timing, toughness, and the willingness to stay standing when logic says you shouldn't. The crowd laughs at first, then falls silent, then erupts when the impossible happens yet again. By the end of this brutal parade of upsets, one thing becomes clear. The ring doesn't care how you look. It doesn't care how many hours you spent in front of a mirror. It rewards only what you bring when everything goes wrong. And sometimes, the guy everyone counted out is the only one prepared for that moment. Now it's your turn. Which of these moments shocked you the most? Do you think raw power and heart will always have a place in combat sports, or is this era slowly disappearing? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story-driven breakdown and want more insane fight narratives like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next.